Good evening. I'm Ray Richardson, producer of Say Brother. Tonight, we're presenting a special program on the Black Rebellion in New Bedford. According to the press, the trouble began Wednesday night, July 8th, around 10:30 p.m. when police arrived in the West End section of town, one of two black areas, to tear down a barricade which was blocking off the junction of Kempton and Ash Streets. There, they arrested a man for disorderly conduct, making unnecessary noise with an auto, and for operating a motor vehicle with defective equipment. The arrest allegedly touched off a rock and bottle throwing incident with black teenagers. At least 4 policemen and 1 fireman were hurt. On Thursday, July 9th, a community resident, Ronnie Cruz, accused police of throwing rocks and touching off the Wednesday night incident. James Magnet, a director of Learning to Learn, a dropout program for young people, was shot at and beaten by police. He received injuries requiring stitches in the head and was charged with disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct, and assault and battery on a police officer. Disturbances began again after 10 p.m., leaving at least 23 people injured. 1 white man was arrested while walking near the West End with a shotgun. Police reported residents firing tear gas and guns, and 12 police were injured. Also that night, the Masonic Lodge in the West End was burned down, and the Reynolds Building, which housed the Model Cities Agency and was considered an historic landmark, was burned down too. The mayor visited the West End, accusing outsiders of instigating the disturbances, and inbound city traffic was blocked off. Friday, July 10th, a mail truck was burned in the South End area, the other black section of town, and 3 white hippie types were arrested for carrying ingredients for firebombs. All 3 were from out of town. The mayor met with the city council and representatives of the black community. The entire city council went to the West End area to meet with community residents. Early Saturday morning, a message was delivered to the West End that National Guardsmen would be called in if peace was not restored. A large group of construction workers met in downtown New Bedford, members of Construction and General Laborers Union, Local Number 385, and pledged to act as vigilantes in civil disturbances in the black community. At 9:40 p.m. Saturday night, 4 black youths were shot. 3 were injured and 1 was killed at Cedar and Kempton Street. At 11 p.m., 3 whites were arrested and charged with the murder. After the shooting, an electronics store on Kempton Street was burned down, and at 11:30, an ultimatum was again delivered to the West End residents: ease the sniping or be subjected to an all-out police attack. On Sunday, July 12th, the City Council called a meeting with West End residents to discuss the problem. Black community members walked out of the meeting, and a dusk to dawn curfew was imposed on the city. People erected barricades in the West and South Ends to defend themselves. On Monday, July 13th, Senator Ed Brooke visited the West End, pledging to investigate the misappropriation of federal funds and promising that the mayor would announce new industry coming to New Bedford. While Brooke met with community residents, police raided a youth center, supposedly in search of arms. Later, Mayor Rogers agreed to meet some of the demands of the black community. But that same day, a city councilman, Councilman Kaltzman, stated, and I quote, "I'll be damned if I'll knock out 500 white men's homes to integrate 5 Negro families. We'll build the housing where we want to build it. The beggars are not going to be boss here." End of quote. On Tuesday, Project Rumor Control was set up by a local radio station. West End residents accused police of violating curfew agreements and entering the West End Monday night to arrest 2 blacks. Police denied the accusations. On Wednesday, Mayor Rogers announced that New Bedford is eligible for federal assistance in unemployment, training, and education. Later that day, funeral services were held for Lester Leamer at a local funeral home. These capsulized reports give only a sketchy and one-sided interpretation of the real situation in New Bedford. But this information is essentially what was reported in the white news media. We all know how it sounded. Black folks have gone wild again, you know, like we do every summer. One of the reasons people in Boston and New Bedford don't know what's going on is because the news media has talked about incidents rather than deal with the real issues. Because we couldn't find out the true story from the establishment media, on Friday, July 10th, Say Brother went to New Bedford to find out what was really happening there. Today, New Bedford is a dying city. The fishing industry is disappearing, and many of the canneries have shut down. At one time, there were over 70 textile mills in the city. Today, there are only a handful. The city has a population of 100,000. There are over 12,000 black people. However, this figure is not completely accurate, since many blacks from the Cape Verde Islands are classified as white by the city. Most of the black people live in two areas of the city, the West End and the South End. There are also many Spanish-speaking people in the South End. In recent years, over $100 million in state and federal funds has come to New Bedford. Yet, for the black community, conditions have gotten worse. An urban renewal project in the South End demolished 1,000 homes to build a highway, and no new housing has been built yet. 2 years ago, the black community issued a list of 80 demands to the previous mayor, Edward Harrington. The demands were around the issues of education, recreation for young people, communication between the black communities and the city administration, housing, and police. Under this regime of that mayor, several meetings have been held. And under the administration of the present mayor, George Rogers, meetings have been held also with black leaders. Yet the results have seldom satisfied the people of the predominantly black and Spanish-speaking West and South Ends. The New Bedford unemployment rate is 80%, twice the national average. The black unemployment rate is 35%, 8 times the national average. We spent 6 days talking with brothers and sisters in New Bedford. The stories we've brought back are told by the people who live there in their own words. What is called obscenity is left in because it's part of that story. On Saturday afternoon, Tom Shepard of the Boston Globe, who went down with Say Brother, talked with a group of men in the West End area who feel very acutely the economic pains that grip New Bedford. We talked with some of them to find out what the deep-rooted issues are that caused the recent disturbances.
We decided to take some action ourselves.
Deal with it, that's all.
We're going to deal with this problem.
Okay, well, this is about jobs, right?
Jobs.
I mean, this is part of the problem,
That's
jobs.
This is
about us being left out ever since past 10 to 15 years.
If a man got a job today for $30 a week, he better not quit it.
The white people treat us like rats. They try to corner us, but they don't realize you corner a rat, there's only one thing you can do, is jump back. A rat attacks. When he is cornered, he attacks, and that's just what we're doing right now. They want to know the reason why this started, because they cornered us. They cornered us. They put our backs against the wall, and we just flew back. We just retaliate, and we got them. We got them, and they know it, and they're scared of us. They're scared of black people. They don't want this, but they know if they don't do something about it, this is going to continue. We're going to get down, and we're going to do our thing. We'll wipe out any place they want us to wipe. We'll wipe out downtown if we have to.
Because we're ready to die, baby.
We want to do our thing. We want our rights. We want everything here that belongs to us. We ain't got nothing. They got all these programs coming out saying, yeah, we're going to get you this, brother. We're going to get you no housing. 4 years, 5 years they had these programs going. We ain't got shit. We still standing on this corner waiting for the government to go ahead and say, do it. We're going to do it. Don't worry, brothers. We'll take care of you. The white man over there, don't worry, black people. We'll take care of you. They ain't doing nothing. They ain't doing a damn thing.
Ask this little young brother here
long enough.
going
We
down.
had enough of this.
You tell him
I'm
what's
tired
going
of
down.
sitting,
You know
and
what's
so the
happening.
brothers are. We're tired of sitting down here waiting for the government to go ahead and say, well, we're going to take care of you. Hell with it. We'll take care of ourselves. We'll get what we want our own way. If we have to wipe out the city to do it, we'll do it. If this is what they want, we're going to do it this way.
1970, year
Right.
The revolution is coming.
Well, I've been through incidents where I've been looking for jobs ever since I got out the service. And then I finally,
When did you get out of the service?
3 years ago. And I finally decided that it was time for me to get some kind of a training where I could benefit. And 3 years till today, I finally got myself a trade. And this trade hasn't accomplished me nothing because I've been running every 2 months looking for a job. And I'm tired of it. And these other brothers, they know just what I'm going because they've been through it too. And the kids look at us today and say, why should we get why should we get a training when this brother like me and other brothers ain't accomplishing nothing?
You get a trade, you don't get a job. Anything. Like you were trained
right.
to do what?
Do carpentry work.
Right. Okay,
I'm a cop. I consider myself a carpenter.
Were you promised a job?
I was never promised a job.
Well, I mean, were you given assurances that you'd be able
yes,
to get
after I got out of school, I was guaranteed a job.
That's what I mean.
And the man told me to work for $60-something a week. Carpenter.
What do carpenters usually make?
These carpenters bring $240 home a week.
I'm a laborer and I make.
And I'm not going to bring no $60 home for a wife and a kid to support. And this other incident, I went to the mayor and got a loan from him to go down to the Carpenters Union. And when I went down there, I handed the man the money. He said he didn't want it. And then he went and rapped to the man that I was working for that I never showed up to look for a job. Now this goes to tell you how they lie. And there ain't a black carpenter down there.
All right, deal with this now. All right, see, like they said they're going to take care of us. They're taking care of us. Right, the only thing that they haven't done is perform genocide. We're waiting for that, you know. But I'm going to tell you what, we're going to deal with them before they have a chance to perform any sort of genocide. Because the black people right now is the strongest weapon we got. The strongest weapon we got is unity. And right now we have got unity.
We got it today. And tomorrow, and next week, and next year, and from now on, because we got it.
Okay, well, like, you weren't able to get a job, Bob. You know,
I'm not talking about my personal self. I'm talking about every brother that will run up there after me and before me that hasn't accomplished nothing out of this.
Okay, well, that's what I know. Why is this happening?
Well, let me tell you
why.
Why.
Because I'm black. I'm black.
From the unemployment office. When I got out of the war, I had a jet engine specialist. Well, they don't have no jet engines in this city. But when I went to go ply down that joint, they put me down as a common laborer, baby, and I ain't a common laborer because I have a trade. And it's specified in the occupational handbook of the Department of Employment Security. And they're going to put me down for common laborer. And when you're down at the common laborer, and if you're black, you're going to get any shit job that they got out there for you. And when you go down there, when they give you a card, they say, go down so-and-so. I don't have a car. I don't even drive. And I got to walk 3 goddamn miles to go to a place for the man to say, I'll call you. And they tell me the one job, and I'll be damned, because this ain't no lie.
They always say
they wanted somebody to unload freight cars. Now, dig this. I'm big as I am, they said I wasn't big enough. Can you dig that? Unload freight cars. Now, what you got to be to unload a freight car?
When we talk about the white man going to war, you know, and not wanting to go to war because he's in college, would you think about the fact that the average black cat that ever went to college did it because he had to first risk his damn life to do it? This is what happens, you know. Most of our college graduates are GI Bill vets, all right? We served, and we came out, and we got our problems in these cities, and we think we know how to solve them. Man, postal workers in 1914 knew how to solve some of the problems before the riots first started. And we're out here now, and we can't solve them. I mean, you know, these cats, you know, Papa pays and you go to school. All right, big deal, man. God damn it, my black boy goes to war, and he comes back, and he goes to school, and he's been black a long damn time. He's hurt, he's suffering, and then he can't even use his goddamn knowledge.
It's a school situation, Manny. The school situation in New Bedford, as far as I can tell right now, is a pretty bad one, man. It's like the educational system in New Bedford is the most racist, decadent, and all them other hunky bureaucratic words you want to use that when you break them down, all they mean is bad. That's all it is. They are bad. You know, like in junior high school, I went to junior high school here. I went to high school in New Haven at Hillhouse High. Junior high school, I was in 9th grade. My counselor said, take the general course. You know, take the general course. You don't got to go to college. You can work in Aerofox, the factory. I'm gonna tell you what.
What does Aerovox make?
Aerovox makes tools for the bureaucratic society that don't deal with the black people. It makes no difference if they make wire, cars, telephone poles, or anything. But they are not paying the black people what they deserve to make these things. They are not paying these people.
So we told you to take the general course.
So many take the general course. And me being young and not being advised by a black counselor, which is another need, I took the general course. And I went through the general course, and it was dynamite. All my boys was in my class. All my black brothers were in my class.
You had a lot of fun.
Had a lot of fun, awful lot of fun. Why are they gonna keep us having fun? But I'm gonna tell you what, niggas are no more afraid of revolution. We have stopped bullshitting, we have stopped partying. We are down to the facts now. We are together, we have unity, and that's all we need. We don't want the white man to do anything for us that we don't want them to do. We don't want them to come into our community and tell us how to live, why to do it, and when to go home, when to have babies, you know, birth control. We need all the black people we can get. That's why he's forcing this birth control down our throat. Because we're gonna stop black people from having babies, right? Whitey's got 2 and 3 to a family. They don't need no more. You know why? Because they got the money. They are the power structure. We are trying to revert this. We are trying to revert the power structure so that it can deal with our black community. The programs they have here are all bullshit. The programs that they will have in the future will not be bullshit, simply because the power of the people that are unified have gotten together and did things like this. What happened in the past is gone. We are looking for tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and the day after that. We're sick and tired of bullshit.
Okay, well, what do you see the people of New Bedford doing? I mean, what direction do you plan to move from here? Obviously, you don't seem to feel that you're going to get any response downtown. Is that a fact?
No, that's not a fact. Oh, we won't get no response from the pig downtown, but we will respond.
We'll get a response because instead of moving backwards, we're going to move forward. And we're going to keep on moving forward until they get down and know that we ain't going to stop for nobody. We're going to keep on pushing ahead. We're tired of walking back. The Russians did it. Everybody else said, we're not going to do it. We got unity now, and we're going to keep on pressing forward. I don't care how long it takes, we're going forward.
The only way that we can get response from downtown is like, if I want to yell, if I want to call somebody down the street, I'm not going to talk to them like I'm talking to you, simply because they won't be able to hear me. If they do hear me, they won't understand me. The way things have been going in New Bedford now is the white man has heard. He has heard us. Whether or not he's understood us is a different thing. But still, he hasn't dealt with the problems. We now, in what we're doing, we're yelling, man. And the white man is listening. For the first time since we've had a city council, they were up here yesterday. They were up here copying pleas and telling us that they're going to answer questions. And when we deal with them with a question, you know what they say? We'll look into it. I'm going to tell you what. Every time we have a disturbance, and that's what I call it, is a disturbance, because riot is a white man's word. So is disturbance, but disturbance is a little bit more relative to the black community.
Would you call it a rebellion?
I would call it a revolution. That's a better word. Thank you very much.
I call it a start of something that is going to keep on going. It's going to go, and it's going to keep on going until the white people know that we can be recognized, that we are human.
Right.
We're no pigs. We're no dirty down. We're filth or something that they want to call us. We ain't going back to Africa because I didn't come from Africa.
Right.
And nobody else here came from Africa, and we ain't going back there. We're going to stay right here. We got it, and we're going to keep it. And they ain't going to throw us out.
And what we don't have, we're going to get. They're trying to force the thing down our throats where Uncle Tom was a good nigga. Be like Uncle Tom and you will go far. Uncle Tom didn't go far. But watch this black community. Our reach right now is definitely exceeding our grasp. Because we can grab everything that's downtown. But we don't want everything that's downtown. We want everything for every black community that's here. Not here in New Bedford, but here.
Nobody can see it.
For a long time, New Bedford has been a sleeping giant. The giants woke up, and we looking for Jack, the man that climbed the beanstalk. You know who he is? These white racist pigs that are holding the power structure. And I'm gonna tell you what, we ain't gonna chant feed, five, fold, farm. We gonna deal with it. We gonna deal with it.
Put your thumb on the phone. We're gonna deal with the problems because we have a problem.
Black women historically have been the most discriminated against in employment. The black women of New Bedford are no different. They make up a large percentage of the 2,900 women on the welfare rolls of this city. They are locked into a vicious cycle of either welfare or menial jobs in the local mills. Saturday afternoon, I talked with some of the women. Where do you work?
For Learning to Learn, and I'm a teacher counselor.
Now, there are problems, that you've seen from working in that program with the general problem of employment and kind of jobs that people are trying to get here?
Yes. Well, you know that the problem is that there's hardly any summer jobs, and this program was for the kids to do their own thing. And what happened, well, I see the problem because actually the kids really didn't have the say, and this is what probably had caused some of the trouble here.
Well, if you weren't working in Learning to Learn, which is pretty much a community thing, what kind of job, what kind of place is there where you could work around here?
Factory. I'd probably be in a factory. Before I came on to Learn, I was working in an electronics place. And that's just about the only place where we could find a job is in a factory.
Do most of the girls coming out of high school say go into factory jobs, or the other types of things that they can do?
Yeah, mostly factory, because there's nothing for them to do. There's hardly any jobs for teenagers like to get,
Well, there's the other?
No, not really. They look, but then after they try and nothing ever happens,
So what are you doing now?
I'm a learner. I'm going to the Learn to Learn program.
How about you?
Nothing.
Have you thought about looking for a job?
Plenty of times, but there's just not anybody hiring. And especially with me being so young and not having a high school diploma, it's really harder.
Well, nobody's hiring, or a lot of people aren't hiring now, they say, because of vacations and summertime. But what about the fall? Do you think that's going to change at all?
No, it doesn't change anything. Because I've been out of school for about a year now, and I still haven't really gotten a job.
What about other people who stayed in school with you? Have they been able to get things that they've gotten out?
No, they haven't been able to get jobs either, really. They've been having just as hard time as we are.
Yeah. Excuse me. Why don't you just step over this way a little bit so I can include you in? Yeah. Now, are you working now?
No, I'm not. No, I'm unemployed.
But you have a family.
Yes.
Right. What kind of problems do you think the whole unemployment situation presents to you as a mother?
Well, being the fact that I'm a mother and I have two children, this presents a problem. A lot of people don't want to hire you if you've got to take care of kids. You're the only one taking care of kids. They don't want to hire you. And they shouldn't be. Look, what are you supposed to do? You got two kids, you got to take care of them. Then they don't want you on welfare. So what are you supposed to do?
Why don't they want you on welfare?
Well, you take a taxpayer's money. You're not supposed to be on welfare. You're lazy. You're shiftless. We don't do nothing. Yet when we're out there looking for jobs, they don't want to give them to us. There's jobs out there to be had, but they don't want to give them to the black girls. And a lot of us are qualified to take some of them. They don't want to hear it.
Well, has anything been done to try, put pressure on people to open up the job thing?
Oh, yeah, they put pressure on for about a month, and then when 5 girls get jobs, they take the pressure off, and they say, look, we got black girls, big deal, 5, and about 500, 5 black girls in a job. And it's not helping those that ain't got no jobs.
You were talking about welfare, and you were going to talk about your experience.
Yeah, I wanted to go to work, and I went up there and I told them I want to go to work. I can't stand living off of welfare, being in poverty all the time. The money I get is just enough to pay my rent, buy my food, and the little things I need, and that wasn't much, right? So they said, you little girl's too young. I said, look, other people go to work, the kids are babies, So my kids, she says, no, you can't go to work. I said, what do you mean I can't go to work? As much as you're yelling about people on welfare don't want to go to work, don't want to do this, they're lazy, they're shiftless, and I'm coming to tell you I want to go to work, and you tell me I can't? She says, okay, go ahead and try it. So I went to work in the bank. So when I went back, I told my supervisor that I was working in the bank. He says, you're working in the bank? I said, yeah. he gonna call the bank and make sure I'm working. I said, now what kind of fool would I be to come up here and tell you I'm getting this money every week and I ain't getting it and you're gonna cut my check? Does that make any sense? So out the bank, I'm gonna go to college. They tell me they're not gonna pay my babysitter.
Thanks, Nat.
No, the welfare is not gonna pay my babysitter for me to go to school because I was having a problem with babysitter. They're not going to pay my babysitter for me to go to school. You know, how do they expect you to get ahead if they're not going to help you? They're screaming you don't want to do nothing, you want to stay home, you want to be shiftless, yet they don't want you to get out there and do nothing. You know, this excuse, my kid's too young, they want you to wait till the kid's 3 years old. Then they can scream, look at her, she's sitting home, she ain't doing nothing. It's a whole lot of crap, man. They're keeping these mothers in. They don't encourage them to go to work. They got the WIN program. If you know about it and you're hip to it, you go out there and tell them, I want to go on it, right on. If you're not too hip to it about it and they just explain it to you and you say, well, you know, because a lot of the mothers have never worked, you know. They don't encourage them. They just tell them and say, well, they weren't enthused or they don't want to be bothered.
What's the WIN program?
Work Incentive Program.
And how does that work?
She's not sure.
Well, they're going to either place you on the job working in a government building or something, local, state, or federal. And it's on-the-job training. Like, you really have to have experience, so to get in one of these. If not, you'll go for training. Well, I've been for training through all these programs. And, like, they're not able to do anything right now as far as I'm concerned. And like they told me, you know, recently the lady, my social worker, asked me what I was going to do when I finished school. And I told the lady, I don't know. I'll probably be doing nothing. I'm not going to go down there. I've worked in the bank. They put me in the bank. I worked for a couple of weeks. I worked for 3 weeks. I worked 1 week and gave 2 weeks notice.
Why'd you do that?
Why did I do that? Because, like, I wore a wig when I first went down there, right? That was fine because the lady, the personnel manager, she's telling me, gee, you look nice and everything. And, you know, I really look nice, but then I knew it wasn't me, and I just I couldn't go to work every day like that. So I took off my wig, and I wore my dresses, and they were a little short, and they come telling me, and I told them, and they didn't, you know, they didn't appreciate it. So rather than go through that, I said, I just quit, and I went to school. And, well, I went to hairdressing school. I have my license. I worked a couple of years. And, you know, it's only part-time. You couldn't, in a colored shop, you can't work. Because it's only the, you know, it's the upper class who's going to these shops and having their hair done. And it's not enough to give you a weekly income.
What are some of the experiences that you've had in trying to find work? You know, trying to look around for something?
Well, let's see. When I first got out of school, I worked. There was no jobs that I could go to with a decent pay anyways. So I went on this youth corps, and I was on my own, and they were only paying $35 a week. And for the work we were doing the same work as the other people were doing, and they were getting more than we were because of our age.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working in a hospital as a tray girl. And there was older people there, and they were getting paid more than we were because of our age. So I left there, and I went to one of these training programs, which wasn't doing anything really. And so I left there because after they give you the training, then they have the problem they can't find a job for you. After they've given you all this training, then they can't find a job for you. So I left there after finished training, and I still didn't have a job, and I still don't have a job, and I can't get one.
Do you think there are jobs around?
No. Well, some places there are jobs around, but they're just not hiring black people.
Jimmy Magnet is Minister of Defense of the Black Brothers Action Committee, a group that came together to protect the community from outside harassment, to alert and organize black residents, and to bring economic conditions to the attention of the lethargic city officials. Tom Shepard talked with him.
Where it's at, you know, I mean, this is what they're scared of. Us realizing what they're doing to us. The days of exploitation are over, you know.
I understand that one of the methods of exploitation that is being used in New Bedford, along with other communities throughout the country, is your routine about training you for a job that you're never going to have.
Dig it. This always go down. When last year I was associated with the Concentrated Employment Program. They trained the niggas for 12 to 16 weeks. After they completed the course, there was no job out there, period. Nothing. And this town is the highest rated in the state for unemployment. And I told quite a few people, white people, trying to get the message to them, but they don't hear it, man. And I've rapped on the mayor, you know, you got a lot of garbage and no jobs, you know, and no reply, man. You know, there was nothing there, you know. He looked at me like I was crazy, but the truth remains. It isn't here. Promises, promises. It's all the cats running down, promises. We got this, and we got that, and all this other action. Fish industry. Who the hell wants to work in a fish house? Nobody. I don't want to work in no fish house. I know damn well that I don't want to work in no fish house.
Well, the fish industry in New England is dying out anyway.
What take on that? This is what's happening, man, and this is what the cat's rapping about. We got this coming in, and he claimed that there's three different companies in the fish industry. It's gonna come in here. That ain't saying nothing. And they've been aware of this for years. Now they're gonna come on the scene and let's be cool. Let's get our heads together. Let's find a solution. There is no solution until they start building some houses, some decent houses. Decent. I mean decent. When I'm talking about decent, not these old shanties they got around here, where landlords just slide away. They go to court time after time, and they're clean. Nothing happens to them. But they're collecting that rent. Every week they collect that rent. And so this is what's happening. This is what the Black Brothers Action Committee is going to be all about. We're going to organize, and we're going to let the whitey know. We're going to let the whitey know that we exist. We're here, and we're here to fight. We're here to fight for our equal rights, period. You know, because, like, we have cats here, man, that were foolish enough, and when I say foolish, I mean foolish, to go to Vietnam and fight with this raggedy country. You know, and they luckily they got back. One cat didn't make it. He died 21 years old, fighting for an establishment. Somebody that's not even concerned, somebody that don't even know his name. And he died out there for what? Fighting people that the white man, so-called, says are colored. That ain't saying nothing. He's gonna tell the poor people, and this ain't only black people, the poor people. We got a lot of white people around here that's just as poor as us and living in the ghetto, living right here in the West End, that ain't got no jobs. Things were so bad for me that I was on welfare during the winter. Real bad, real bad. See, and I'm not the only individual that was on that thing. And this is what I was telling the man. He didn't know that I was on welfare, but I've been rapping on him and telling him. You don't know, man. You don't know. And they just brush you aside when it's winter time. But when it comes summertime, they want to hear everything you got to say, and they want you to help them out. Later for that helping out. Later for that helping out. This is the one thing that I dig about Bobby Seale. Seize the time. Seize the time, and the time is here. And the time to straighten everything out is right now. And it's July, and we got a whole nother month. We got a whole nother month after that. We got a whole nother month after that, because it don't get cold until October. And so this is the only time that they worry about niggas.
I mean, but you know, since it's like not only bad for us in the summertime, it's also bad for us in the wintertime. Can we afford to like just dig on summer as
No. I can stop you right there, man. This is the reason for the organization of the Black Brothers Action Committee, man. This is what it's all about. We arming, but that ain't the only thing we're going to do. We're going to arm for year round, and we're going to go out and exploit white man. You know, reverse this thing. Exploit that dude, man. Go out there and scream on him. Expose him. And have that thing in the newspaper year round. This is what that Black Action Committee is going to be all about, man. We're going to arm. Certainly we're going to arm. We're going to arm because we're tired of getting shot at and beat on the head. But it isn't only a summertime thing. It's going to be year-round. It's got to be a year-round thing because this is the only way that white man is going to get aware of it, because the only time that he deals with black folks is when it's warm. And he knows that the niggas is restless. And he don't say nigga, not too loud, but he'll say it under his breath. But when he talk to you, what's going on? What's happening? How come this is happening? Can you help me out? I'll be damned if I'm helping any white man out anymore, because I got beat in my head trying to help one of them white men out. No more, no more. That's all over and done with, and I made it clear to the council, to the mayor, to the chief of pigs.
And a bro got shot too.
Kim Holland's daughter.
Kim
Gardner
Burial.
Burial.
Gardner Burial got shot.
And there was one other one. I don't know who that was.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. These cats got shot, and we were supposed to be prepared for this shit. Get down the ground. That's whitey.
The press has given much play to the West End, but it has not dealt with the South End section of New Bedford, which is the home of Black and Spanish-speaking people. We spoke with the young people of the South End at their only playground. And the problems that beset the West End also appear to affect the South End, particularly police harassment and unemployment.
Right. Are you working?
Yes, I'm working on the Lynch Land program, which I'm on the board of directors, which we planned for a year to get money for the kids, because we feel that they've been neglected. The age runs from 14 to 21, which we have in 4 different parts of town, which are running great, which a lot of these Uncle Toms over there don't like it.
Why don't they like it?
Because it's not going into their pockets, you know?
Do you think that going into their pockets has happened with some of the other programs?
No.
Onboard. I work for Onboard. Now we got the director of Onboard, the main director. His name is Mr. Shop. He's white. Now the black community and the rest of the community, they all went up there and said, "We don't want you in there. We don't want you representing it," because that program is a poverty program. It's for the poor people. The poor people went up to his office. They had a board director meeting and told him to get out. His board of directors voted him to stay in, so he's still in. And the people don't want him. You don't want him, and I work for Onboard, and each Onboard center, you can ask any one of these kids right here, right now, if they want anything to do with Onboard. I try to tell them, I say, look, I'm organizing something for Onboard to see if we can get you cleaner houses to live and have them clean the park. And everybody says, oh, man, I don't want nothing to do with Onboard because Onboard is nothing but a bullshit program. And that's just what they say.
Okay, well, I'm going to do that. Do you know anything about Onboard?
Nothing more concrete than what he's been saying anyhow.
How about yourself? Does anybody else here know something about it?
Onboard is a place where the grown-ups is making money. Just watch the kids so they won't write on walls, so they won't do any destructive things, you know. As far as other things, it's nothing.
Okay, have you tried to find work?
I tried, but I just can't find work.
What were some of the problems you ran into when you were looking around for a job?
Don't call me, we'll call you. We're all filled up. You know, we don't need no more help.
We just hired the guy 5 minutes ago.
Another thing down the employment office, they put down whether you're white, Negro, Caucasian, or other. They mark that down on this New Bedford employment office. And I asked them, what's the reason for that? They says, well, that's for government figures or something like that. And I had incidents where I went down the employment office, and I went down the factory down there, and they called up the guy, and the guy asked the person that stepped, is he black? And he shook his head, and they sent me up there, and I didn't get the job. And he wants to say something about Masters.
Yeah.
Well, most of us don't have jobs around here, you know, and they stick us all in summer programs like Learn to keep everybody calm and everything like that. And we have a mill right over here. You can see right through the bushes there if you put your camera over there. It's Masters Drill, and I say it's about 97% white. And they got people coming from out of town like a cushion and all other towns that work there, and you can't even get a job there if you're black, and it's right in the heart of the black community.
And if you're qualified.
People around here
you're qualified, you can't even get a job there.
Well, have you tried to get work in the mill?
Yeah. People around here, the black people around here,
machine shop, and I couldn't get inside of there.
Consider getting in Masters Drill an impossible dream. Impossible dream.
I took up a training course, for 20 weeks, man. I passed it and everything, I learned everything there is to know about, machine shop, and I couldn't get inside of the Masters Drill.
Well, what about some of the other plants around the city? Some of the other factories?
They're all the same. They're all the same. If they do give a black person a job, it's something like sweeping up the floors. Like same thing as construction. They'll give a black person a job on construction, but it's, you know, it's with a pick and shovel. They won't give them the job as running the heavy equipment. Very few.
On a job that takes a little intelligence, because they figure the man's not qualified for it.
They'll give people jobs. They'll give people like greenhorn jobs who work below minimum wages.
What kind of jobs?
Greenhorns that come from over across the ocean there, you know. People that work below minimum wages, you know. That's the people that they'll hire.
That's the ones they'll hire.
That's the ones they'll hire. The high workers. People that don't even know how to talk English so they can beat them out the money every day, you know.
Wait, do you think any of these local programs is going to be helpful in terms of dealing with that job
No, they
problem?
had 1,000 of those programs. No. It hasn't helped anybody.
What do you mean 1,000? What have been some of the other programs?
Well, like CEP, Neighborhood Youth Corps, Manpower,
And Youth Power's got a record. I remember we investigated that. They've got a record that they get people that want to hire somebody, but they'll put down, well, we don't want a black person. And Youth Power's got that all in black and white, but they won't give it to us. They got that. They got employees that'll say, I don't want no black person. Don't send no black person down. And yet they take the job.
Wow. Well,
they had this CEP program which you're talking about. They said they would definitely get us a job after the 26 weeks there. Now all of us, we all went to CEP. What are we doing now? Nothing. Thailand school, what happened to that?
Yeah.
They were just, oh no. They were supposed to be experienced. They couldn't get a job.
We went to Thailand school.
It's just like throw the dog a bone and keep it quiet for a while, you know?
20 weeks. We went to Thailand school. And we went to the, like, U.S. Furniture down there. They have way down south end. And they said, sure, train the kids and we'll hire them. And they said that all over the city. So they trained us. And when we were done with the training, we went looking for the jobs. As soon as they found out we were black, there was no jobs, and we went through the training for nothing. We couldn't get a job. You know what they told us at CEP? Well, why don't you go to Boston and go look for jobs out there?
Same thing with that cooking program, right? There was 15 blacks and 10 whites, right? Now,
what program was that?
This is an MDTA cooking course. Now, there was 15 blacks and 10 whites, right? And now it ends up there's only 7 people there. Most of the people are thrown up were all blacks. Now the top kids in the class, men in the class are all black. What happens to them? Nothing. I want to tell you what happened? A couple weeks before, the man came in and said, well, I think we have jobs for some of you. Which everybody knows for plain fact that jobs for some of you were just white because they only came to the white people and talked to them. There's 2 kids in the cooking class who were top men, and they were black. They didn't go over there and talk to them and say, well, we have jobs for you because you're the 2 top men in the class. No, they went over to the white people and said, well, we have jobs for you. The cooking course is almost over now. You know what they're going to do to us? Hand us that little diploma and say, well, we gave you this, you can get a job anywhere. You know what I'm going to do with that plaque? If I get it, throw it out to them because they ain't going to get me nowhere. That plaque doesn't mean shit.
They kicked me out of the cooking class. I was in the cooking class, and there was a few other cats with me, about 7 of us, 7 black kids that they kicked out of the cooking class. And I went up to the board of discrimination, filed charges against them, but nothing was done. And it was so bad in there, there was so prejudice in there that we had a black instructor, and it was so bad, even he quit. He quit teaching because he couldn't stand it.
Well, that brings me back to another thing. I mean, like, y'all have been, like, turned off by a lot of things. You've been messed over by a lot of programs. What do you think is going to happen? You know, what do you see as your immediate future?
Violence.
Violence. That's the only thing you can turn to is violence.
Violence.
Why violence? Why do you say it's the only thing you can turn to?
We tried every other way.
We tried it peacefully. We went up to the mayor about 1,000 times and told that man, please. And says, look, we want this. Give it to us, please. We went up there. We marched peacefully uptown. They just looked at us and laughed and says, okay, wait till the summer's over. The minute winter came, they figured, well, all these niggas are going to be quiet in the winter.
Put it on that pig. Put on the pig, man. Put on them. Put on them. They gun.
Put on the pig. Get it on them all the way. Get them on there. All the way.
See? At 9 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, they want us all to go home.
And about the curfew they put on New Bedford. I've talked to a lot of black people, and none of them is going to obey that curfew. Let's see who's going to enforce it, because the New Bedford police are not going to enforce it, and the stadies are not going to enforce it. Let's see if they bring in the National Guard.
When this first started, right, they put in the papers, it only took 25 pigs to stop those kids. It was a damn lie. There was not 25 pigs. There was pigs from out of town, all there, all right? And they put in the paper, just 25 of us to stop the kids. There wasn't enough there.
Well, let me, getting back to the thing you were saying then about the violence, like, who is that going to be directed towards? Is it going to be directed towards the pigs, or is it going to be directed towards, like, the mayor? Is it going to be directed towards, like, the manufacturers who want to hire people?
The mayor, all the capitalist people, man.
It's going to be directed to all the racist people. It's going to be like Monsters Zero and our fire department we got down here who has a bad habit of jumping off their fire trucks every time they're in the black community with crowbars and axes in their hand. It's going to be directed against the pig department who's got a habit of coming into the black community with these ridiculous weapons. It's going to be directed to, like, white boys that come riding around in the cars with shotguns. It's going to be directed, like, up north end, where every time black people go up north end, they get called niggers. It's going to be directed to people like the people around here that are black and are trying to hold us back. It's going to be directed to white pigs.
Just to all them stinking whiteys, that's all.
We don't even have a firebox around here anymore.
Right,
that's right.
Right over there.
We have a firebox from on the corner over there.
When these houses burn down, man. And when these houses burn, what's going to happen? A lot of kids live in these Bay Village areas. What happens when these houses burn down? A lot of kids going to die.
The excuse was the firebox was rung too many times. That firebox, let's say, was rung 100 times in one night. There's a firebox down at the school that was rung 100 times in one night. They didn't pull that out because that's their property. They pulled that one out because the black people own this property, so they don't give a shit about the black people.
Well, like, you understand, or you have a reason, in terms of why you think violence is necessary and why it's going to achieve certain kinds of things. Do you think that a lot of the older people understand that?
No, a lot of them don't, and a lot of them do. But the ones that don't,
So you mean, like...
Somebody had to die to open up these parents' eyes. Now everybody's eyes are open, see? Revolution has come in this city, man, Now these parents know what's going on in this place.
Something else to the pigs out there, that kid's funeral, in reality, it's their funeral. Because they're going to pay for that.
In a sense, that kid will never die, man.
They're going to pay for that.
He'll never die, man. Everybody's hearts and mind. He never died, man. He's a man. He died for a reason, a cause.
Well, like, exactly what was that cause?
He died. See, because, every time we come down here in the park, right, the man wants to throw us out. This is the only place that we have to hang out over, and they want to send us home 9 o'clock. You can't do that. You can't keep a nigga in the house in the summer 9 o'clock. That's impossible, man. They won't go up the north end and do that, to the white folks, but they'll come down here and do it to us, see? And the way the man said, get the hell out of here and go home. Like you ain't shit, you're dirt,
That's just like, can I say something? This was like Saturday. They had like 3,000, I call them white racists uptown, I call them white racists uptown. Now they paraded uptown with flags and everything, saying what they're gonna do if it doesn't stop, But the first minute a couple of black people go out there and protest for something they want, they go out there and bust them in the head and everything, I think it's about time these people finally woke up and finally realized what's going on, People have declared war and you don't even know what's going on, And people stand around smiling and everything like it's a joke. But it's no joke when somebody comes by in a car and shoots at your kids,
That's right. They can't do nothing more for us. They done took away our pride, our language, our heritage. They just took everything away from us. Now they want to treat you like dogs, man. It just ain't gonna work like that, man. People are opening their eyes every day, man, in the city. I'm glad it happened in New Bedford, man. It's about time, boy. Something like this happened out here.
The thing that really confused me, now they were supposed to have Western all blocked off the other day, all right? They wasn't supposed to let any white people in the area. I want to know how could a car full of white people come inside the neighborhood with guns, come around 3 times plus change cars and kill people and get out.
They wouldn't let me in that day. Same time, about 20 minutes before that car pulled up with the gun and shot those kids, I tried to get in West End. And when I went and tried to get up West End, they had pigs up there. They stopped my car, told me where was I going, that I couldn't enter the area, and I had to leave. And I want to know how that white car, those white boys there in their car, got in there with shotguns and shot those kids. And if I couldn't get in, why they let those white boys in with guns? The same time, I want to know how come they let that kid that was shot in the head lie up in St. Luke's Hospital for 5 minutes asking, do you have Blue Cross? What's your mother's name? Is your mother's working? Meanwhile, the kid's dead. The kid's dying.
Eisenhower and Kennedy, if they had Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they just went on there and operated on it right off the get, man. They didn't ask them for it. You know that,
And the whole the western area was blocked off, and there were still cars coming by shooting at us,
Yeah, well, that's one thing I wanted to find out. Now, you live down here? Yeah. Okay, what happened down here? Now, I heard that you had blocked off the area. That the people in the community had blocked off the area.
Yeah, they did. See, I was at West End. I don't know what happened down here.
Well, why did you block it off? Did you have cars coming through here, too?
Well, for one reason, see, the police station is right up the street, right next to us. So we had went up the police station to, you know, protest more, let's just hang around, see what was going on. So as we're hanging around the police station, there's these two white girls coming by in a car, and every time they seen us, they threw fingers. They kept coming by in the car, threw fingers. So we waited for the next time to come around. Yeah, we told the cops about 10 times, 100 times. We said, stop those people. Why don't you grab them? They're coming around throwing fingers, agitating us. So they didn't do nothing. So when those white broads came around again in their car, we stoned their car. And when we stoned their car, then the cops automatically jumped on us and chased us down there. And I mean, they chased old ladies down there because there was old ladies up that police station screaming that their sons were getting abused and mothers were up that area. I mean, there were old people up there, and those cops came after old people, old black people with clubs.
We talked with Mayor George Rogers of New Bedford, who is charged that the present problems stem from the previous administration and that he has called for a federal investigation into what he terms the misallocation of federal and state funds.
The purpose of that tour was for the people in the West End to understand, by seeing them physically present in the community, that they are in fact concerned for the community, that they do in fact want to do something to alleviate the situation and try to help. I think that people in the community were not convinced, perhaps, that this was the case. And you can't say you can blame them, or you can't blame them because of the failure of the city government to respond to bona fide needs, as demonstrated by the need for an investigation of where all the money went, for example, which is what Senator Brooks is going to do. It does seem strange that in a city that has had $100 million of federal money put into it, that we have not yet met the needs of the people of the city, whether it's the minority needs or the city as a whole. We have not met the needs of the people.
Well, a number of young people feel that and have been through a number of the programs, federal programs, state programs that have been in this area, feel that these have been at best stopgap measures and do not address themselves to the real problems that exist in terms of lack of jobs and lack of upgrading in the various jobs that they get.
That's quite possible, and you can understand why they could feel that way, where they don't see any corrections coming. They don't see any real changes coming. There are changes coming, though, in fact, and we hope they will bear with us. I will announce on Thursday a new industry for the city. Nothing to do with this revolt or this riot. It's something which has been in the works for months. I have not been able to make the announcement because the company wasn't willing to have me make the announcement. But on Thursday, we can do that, and we'll have a new company with a substantial jobs, 400 probably, or 500. In addition to that, of course, Polaroid is located here. Their new plant should be ready for occupancy and for operation later on in the fall.
So you see these both as creating new job opportunities?
Yes, definitely. This should give us, if both plants operate at their capacity, we should have a neighborhood of 800 or 1,000 jobs additional.
Okay. What about the unions? There seems to be a problem in terms of the availability of union jobs, particularly in an area where there seems to be construction, particularly a lot of road work.
Right. We're going to discuss this, matter of fact, tomorrow with Mr. Ray Giles, who's the chairman of the Urban Coalition, and union leaders. A meeting has been set up at which time we will discuss how we can provide for representation and for employment of blacks in the unions you're referring to.
Right. Now, a number of young people talk about the lack of recreational facilities, particularly in the West End. Even in the South End around the project area, there's at least a concrete basketball court. Why are there no decent recreational facilities in
there
the
again,
area?
this goes back to the same answer we had before, that these areas are involved in renewal. Part of the overall renewal plan is to provide recreational facilities. It's part of the plan. There'll be established as soon as the renewal takes effect. It's been a long time in coming, I admit. We've waited too long for it. For that reason, I asked for money in the budget to establish some temporary so-called vest pocket parks. That request was turned down. That request is going to be resubmitted again on Thursday, at which time we hope the council will respond to it, and hopefully we'll have some vest pocket parks in the areas that I said we needed them. The area you're referring to as the South End is actually part of the Model Cities neighborhood, and there again, there are plans for parks and recreation down there. The money is in the Model Cities budget. And there again...
Who administers the Model Cities budget?
The Model Cities program is administered by a planning council.
Are they selected by the city?
No, they're elected by the people in the Model Cities neighborhood. And we have an executive director of the Model Cities agency, which administers the program directly. The planning council is that body responsible for the overall operation of the program, however. And that Model Cities neighborhood will be expanded. Matter of fact, I've already indicated to the director of Model Cities that we are going to include the West End in the Model Cities neighborhood. And we will have an election in the West End, in the minority community, to provide representation on the planning council of black people.
What requests, specific types of requests, have you received from the black community since you've been in office?
Well, most of the requests we've received are embodied in that group of requests, which with the Planning Council, that is the advisory council to the City Council, and the City Council and myself are now going to discuss. Rather than go into specifics, I would prefer that we would wait until we have reached agreements on them.
Well, there have been some that you received prior to this week or
Yes,
to last
right.
week. What areas did they
There
deal
was the
with?
Human Relations area, providing for staffing of the Human Relations Commission, providing for expansion of the budget of the Human Relations Commission, providing for employment opportunities, providing for an opportunity to work in the various summertime programs, asking for more recreational facilities, we talked about that, and of course asking that the total fabric of life, that is the overall feeling of belonging and the attitudes of the people of the area, try to changing the attitudes of the people. Of course, it's very difficult, but these are the types of requests.
One question earlier, getting back to the issue of unemployment. Do you have any ideas as to why the black unemployment rate is 4 times as high as that for whites in New Bedford?
I don't know if that can be documented. That was made, that statement was made, and I understand that this is what Senator Brooke revealed. I would expect that one of the reasons that it is very high is because we have the educational level is necessarily lower because of the inducements for education that usually are available, made available in the black community.
If education is a problem in the black community, the city has done little to improve the situation. 2 years ago, a remedial reading program was part of an outline presented to the city administration on educational reform. But none of these reforms have been put into practice by the previous administration or by Mayor Rogers. Instead, the black community has been barraged with a variety of government programs. The most recent one, a cultural enrichment program called Learning to Learn, allows kids to do whatever they want to and pays them for it. We asked some of the young guys about this and other programs.
Like all unarmed people, either slaves or subjected to slavery at any given time, you know. Like I seen that last night, you know. I think we should all be armed.
What did most of the young people do last night?
Last night? Well, they were real cool. Like,
They're out here fighting for their cause. Fighting for their cause.
You know, like they were laying back, letting the man come in, trying to stop the people from coming in the community, you know, in their own way, going up there with rocks and bricks, and they were being fired at you. They were on the line, trying to stop the cars from coming in, so the cars wouldn't be getting blown away and shit like that. You know, they were comforting, you know, talk to the younger broads up here, the older women that were upstairs here and shit like that. Inside the club. Just trying to protect the community. You know, they were out there. He was here. Everybody here was here.
You meant to say?
See, what the thing is, man, we are really mad is we're sick and tired of promises. So, man, I feel this way. Instead of, them keep promising us, about time we get down, man.
What kind of things have you been asking to get promised? What kind of things have you been asking for?
We would like to have a center here, a nice center where to get everybody off the corner, drop-in center, pool tables, ping pong tables, things like that is nice, which white kids have and all that. They got a basketball court inside. They got all these things, which we don't have. So this is what we're fighting for.
There's nothing up here.
If you go up by Buntwood Park,
right.
They got everything up there.
Right.
If you go down south end, they got everything down there. If you go up north end, they got everything. Way down deep south, But where the niggas live and the Puerto Ricans live down south,
we ain't got
they
nothing.
ain't shit. They got little pots.
Right.
Kennedy's Youth Center. That's all white people,
They just forgot about us, you know what I mean?
Like we ain't got nothing but right here. They give you a basketball court.
This is what we're fighting for.
Seesaws.
This is what we're fighting
for. What these dudes here want with that, they could fix up this whole fucking thing, like a lot of us didn't even get decent housing, holes in the walls and shit. You go on upstairs here and look at these pads here. You go look over that pad. Look at any one of these pads, and then we go on over somebody else's house, up the street there, and you say, man, this is
Wow,
bars, you know,
really
and we
nice.
paying more rent than they are.
That's right.
You know, it's
Okay,
everything.
well, man.
Everything. Like these dudes here, they're feeling everything. You know.
Right. What we want is a
like,
change.
Like they're a lot more aware than I was. You know, when I was their age. You know, I thought like if I went in the service and got this here and got that there, you know, everything was going to be good for me. You know.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20. How old are you?
20.
How about yourself? 20. Yeah, like most people your age and even younger, you know, there are a lot of cats around here who dropped out of school. A lot of people who haven't been able to find jobs. Now, what kind of programs have been set up by the city or the federal government to take care of that?
There's a program that's supposed to be called Youth Power, and the only people that are working on Youth Power are the people that have money. You know, it's supposed to be for minorities, but none of the minorities are working under this program. You know.
Have any of you worked in any of the older programs, say in the last 2 years?
I worked in like Seth. I've been on Seth.
Yeah. Well, can you tell me something about it? Like, what were you doing, and what was the program designed to do?
Well, it's designed to give people a trade. You know what I mean? So they won't be left out. That's it. You go do your thing. If you got the trade, you can have it. You know what I mean?
What kind of trade were you taking up?
I took up body work, man. Auto body repair.
And what happened when you finished that?
Job, man. But it's just like this. You're from SEP, right? But when you get up there, like the boss man up there, he look at you and he say, wow, you got off a SEP, you know. I can't do nothing for you. I'm not going to give you a high pay because you got off that program. You know, that program ain't nothing. You know what I mean? You didn't really go to school. You know what I mean?
Is it that the program's not anything, or is it that you think that they're just giving you a hard time?
They just giving us a hard time.
Can I answer that then? Well, like the programs there, like I feel like I was in that SEP program. You know, I ain't graduated from high school and they put me in college.
So, what were you taking up in SEP?
You know, what was it? Social worker, electronics. They just kept switching me around. You know. Every job I had, you know, like, I don't know, they said I caused trouble, you know, and they threw me out of school a couple of times, shit like that, you know.
Well, let me ask you this,
I think you're a troublemaker.
Yeah,
yeah. That's what they did to me, man.
Yeah, well, just let me talk about, yeah.
Basically, what it is a bunch of bullshit tokenism, you see. Like, what they've done all along is that, you know, when they hear the niggas in New Bedford are getting up, you know, they come in with some bullshit program to get everybody off the street, which doesn't cure anything, you know. All it does is make them white, you see, and that bullshit has to stop, especially in the city, because a lot of people have hang-ups, whether they're white or black anyway. You see, and so what they're trying to do is make everybody white in the city by saying, well, yeah, well, you're going to have this good job, you know, and you're going to have this bullshit, and it's not working, you know, because people ain't buying it. That's why this shit happened.
Let me ask you something. Okay, so, you know, you don't have a job. What kinds of jobs would you like to have? What types of, working in what types of places?
Well, I'd like to have jobs that normal white people have. Because as it is now, we're being considered second-class citizens, and we want to be considered first-class citizens and have first-class citizens jobs, just like white people do. And all we're doing, we're being co-opted, and we're being patted on the back, and they're telling us this and that, and nothing's being done.
Well, let me ask you this. You got this program down here. It's a federal program, Learning to Learn. What is that? You know, is that attempting to deal with some of those things that you mentioned?
No, like myself, I think it's just the man trying to get himself a little more time, you know, keep niggas off the streets for about 10 weeks, you know. That's how long the program lasts, you know.
What does the program do?
Whatever the people want to do. If you want to shit in the street, you can shit in the street, you know. If you want to go swimming down the beach, you know, whatever you want. They're saying, you know, bring out the people's interests and shit like that. All they're doing is keeping the people off the street for 10 weeks. Give them time. They know niggas don't ride in the winter, you know. That's what they think anyhow. I mean, like, that's the way I think about it.
Well, what about the people running the program? I mean, there were some black people involved in that.
There's some good dudes there. There's some real good dudes, you know. I mean, like, and dudes, I believe they do anything, you know, to help the people out. You know, most of them, you know. But like,
well, you know, it seems like there's like a running problem with the city, you know, and the mayor and so forth.
That's in every city.
Okay, in every city, but in this city, you know, what do you think they're trying to do, you know, Like why? I mean, there are problems here in housing,
No.
problems in employment. Why do you think they haven't dealt with any of that?
Well, like myself, I believe like they all capitalists. You did, and like
What, the
you
mayor?
know,
and
the mayor, the whole, all them pigs. They all pigs. All they want to do is make money, money, money. They keep promising, you know, just like your old lady getting your dough. You keep putting it off, you know. Like we like the mayor's old lady. He's a punk, you know. But like he's just gonna keep putting us off, like all the other people's done, you know, for all these years, you know. They ain't gonna do nothing for us as long as they got that dough going in their pockets. They don't give a damn about us. That mayor, he's making $1 million, you know, from that election off all the bookies. You did? Shit like that. He don't care about us.
Well, I mean, like, you're 20. Most of you 20.
No, I'm not 20.
Okay, I mean the other brothers. You're 23.
No, I'm not. Go ahead. Continue.
I thought I heard you say that. I mean, you're basically all in the same age group, but there are a lot of black people around here who are older. You know, a lot of them are working, a lot of them are out of work. You know, do you think they've made efforts to deal with a lot of these things? I don't know, anybody can answer.
We made all kind of efforts, you know. All kind of efforts. Maintenance. Today
Same
there was
old
a
thing.
meeting.
See, everybody has been co-opted with this be a happy nigga shit, you know. That's what's been happening around here, you know. Everybody's gonna be happy, you know. Well, if you're not gonna get a job, well, we'll get you one sometime. You know, sooner or later we'll get you
Or
a
like
job.
if you're unhappy and a bunch of you niggas like sales floor got together and inside the people, we going down and the man get up there and he co-op us. What do you want to call it?
Like
He
what?
say, well,
What?
you ain't got a job, well, I'll give you a job. You know,
See, like they don't
shit
want
like
you,
that. We don't want that shit.
They don't want you moving in decent houses here. Look, what they're gonna do, they want you trapped like all like animals. What they're supposed to do is build a projects around here. You know, let everybody live. See, they don't want you moving, you know, to a nice place. You know, it's almost like a prison. That's what they, plan on doing.
See,
and we don't want that. We don't want that.
I mean,
you know?
like in Boston, they built those
Nobody
new
wants
projects. They built those new projects up in Boston, right next to the Roxbury Theater, right? I mean, you know, in 2 years, I give it another 2 years, and they'll look just like the rest of the houses. Because, I mean, it's like emptying the garbage and just taking the bag out and leaving the can there. You know, it's going to fill up sooner or later. And that's the same shit that's happening, you know. I mean, like, nothing's changed except that, you know, you put new houses up. Okay.
Now, have they had any kind of plan for renovating houses or urban renewal or anything that's happened at all in New Bedford?
I guess they've had all kind of plans, but what do you see? Nothing.
Well, what about the projects down in the South End?
Bay Village, that's been there for years, man.
Oh, wait,
Like
it's-
I grew up there, you know. I lived there until I was 16, and I moved up here. That's only a camp.
Well, what kinds of things have happened to the people down there in terms of housing that you can, specifically talk about?
They had to move out. They ain't
How
nothing
come?
up here.
I mean, how come they had to move out?
You know, like you look at the houses, like they have to tear them down.
In a way.
Rat infested, they fall on down. Landlords don't want to take care of them. Nobody want to do nothing, you know. They leave it up to us, you know.
The landlord right
We
here,
can't even.
The houses are worse down there than they are up here in a way.
They're worse down in the South
They're
End?
worse down the South End than they are up here.
What about the houses they tore down when they put in the highway?
Pardon? What was that question again?
What about the houses they tore down when they put in the highway?
What about the houses? Oh, they were rats, roaches, everything, man.
Where did the people who lived there, where did they have to go? Have they built housing for the people
Right,
that
no
moved
projects,
down?
I guess. Right, no projects.
They ain't built no houses, man. They ain't built nothing, not a goddamn thing, man. They tore down, and that's all.
The only thing that they're building down there is an old age home. Like, we almost need an old age home down there, right? While the people in the streets, they're going to build an old age home.
Right, we need one, you know, real bad.
Well, that old age thing brings me back to another thing I wanted to get at again.
That's where the highway going.
Young people have been doing a lot, over here in the West End.
Right.
What kind of things have you been doing, and how have you been attempting to, relate what you've been doing to older people, make them understand, and get their support?
Oh my God.
See, in a way, it's hard to make them understand because they're so brainwashed. See, like, if they would have did their thing, a long time ago, we wouldn't be in this predicament when we are now. But now we are, so we're going to do it we might get we are going to get what we want. I'm going to say we might get we are going to get what we want. And when we get what we want, then, you know, the adults still realize, hey, it was worth it what they did.
You know, like,
it was worth it.
You know, you know, they always say you need education, you need this, you need that, you know. We're showing them we don't need none of that bullshit to get what we want, you know. You know, we don't want to be washed up in that bureaucratic society and shit.
Yeah, I bet you started to say something.
No, I haven't understood.
The, you know, between here and the South End, there's been like a traditional, you know, kind of rivalry, or I don't know what you want to call it. Now, that's changed. Like,
it is changed.
You know, and what do you think has made that change?
That changed a long time ago, man.
Well, what started it?
I don't know, just as brothers starting to go to school together and things. I think before these guys even remember about it, like a high school. Right. When they only had that one junior high school there, right. When the brothers started to get together, right there. Before that, we used to always be fighting against each other. The man didn't give a damn.
That's what he wants. That's what he wants, you know, fighting against yourselves. But now we're getting together, and they are really scared now. They're really scared because we are together.
How has that shown itself in this past week?
Well, like the man come up here, the city council, the mayor, you know, you come up here like you have a riot, you come up here. He ain't never been up here before. Maybe he has, you know. But like, you have a riot and he come up the next day, you know, him, the city council, what can we do for you? You know, what can we do for you?
You know, a lot of the older people, you know, seem to be concerned about what they call the violence that's going on.
Oh, violence?
Now, how do you feel about it?
Violence? Well, like, I feel like, I don't want to be violent, but like they got groups like the Ku Klux Klan, the Minutemen, John Betts. You know, they got the United States Army, the Marine Corps. Yeah. You know, they're violent over Vietnam. They're violent right here. You know, how can my people tell them, you know, don't be violent? I want to be violent as long as this man is violent. He's the most violent motherfucker in the world. You know, he really is.
See, like they're happy where they are now. You know, they're happy where we are.
They're not happy. They just don't want to see us get hurt. That's all.
How can they expect us not to be violent? I mean, like, look at the Indians. They've been nonviolent. And one, you know, a little at a time, they're getting, you know, the numbers are getting smaller and smaller. I guess they expect us to do the same thing, sit around and be nonviolent and just be extinct by
genocide.
Yeah, the rotten houses we live in. People could die just living in these sweltering rat traps, getting bit.
Food,
roaches so big you can only fit one in a coffee cup. You know, these are real nasty conditions for everybody to live in.
Running these streets and shit.
It's really pitiful.
Okay, well, you talk about houses. Like, what's your house like? Why don't you talk about that?
My house? Well, it's small and it isn't worth the rent I pay, but I have to because there's no place else to go. It's not the worst house around here. I can think of a lot worse places I'd rather be. But then again, I can look around in my own neighborhood, the houses next door, where people from, you know, they don't even speak English. They come over from a foreign country, got light skin. And they could be the scum of European society, but they come over here in this country and live like a bunch of kings. And the only reason I can't do it is because I'm black.
Okay, now, a lot of people have problems in their houses, like you said, paint or like some kind of roaches or rats or something like that. Do you think if you went to your landlord and told him you had that problem, that something would be done?
My mother-in-law lives in a house owned by William Bartello. Now, this guy is one of the biggest slumlords in this city. And there was something about him in the paper yesterday. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but my brother-in-law told me that he was supposed to be one of the worst going. Now, my mother-in-law had a bathroom there that didn't work for a while. There was something wrong with the ceiling or something. And I went in there and did a half-assed job patching it up. And at times you could sit in there and feel a draft coming in from the hallway, or you could look right out in the hallway at one time. Now, he patched it up and everything, and it still doesn't look that much different. He's supposed to be fixing the place up. My father-in-law took a bad fall over a rotten railing, held on to it, and the whole thing went over, and he fell down and bruised himself up pretty bad. You can tell him about it. He gets these half-ass carpenters come in, his sons and some winos. He got working 3 days a week just to get money for wining. They put up a railing and nail it half-assed. Well, if they do make any repairs, there's something that, you know, just rough stuff. You know, you can still get splinters on them, and nothing really big. And they don't paint the outside of the houses. I can take you to houses right down on the street here, and you can look at them. and see what the condition of the outside of these houses, and the people have to go through hell to make the inside look livable.
Okay, well now, they got housing inspectors, they've got, I heard they had like a black guy who was a housing inspector.
Yeah, but all they can do is just send a letter and tell the landlord so-and-so and this, that. But if the guy doesn't really want to do it, he can fight it to court. Bartello been doing it for years. He's been taken to court almost every other day. And nothing's being done. People still living in the same old rat houses. And he charges you $17 a week. And he raised the rent up to 20 because some people had washing machines that were using extra water that he had to pay for.
What about the house where you live?
The house where I live, underneath is a store, and it's got big picture windows. One window's been broken. It's been broken all year. Since winter time, we told the landlord about it, and he said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it sometime when I get a chance." I've been busy because he's a carpenter himself, and he says, "I'm gonna get around to do it sometime." It hasn't been done yet, and it's been over a year.
I mean, the landlord's a carpenter, and he can't fix up what he's supposed to be fixing up as a landlord.
It's been like that over a year, and the window upstairs in my house, the front window's been broken. It's just a little pane window, and he won't put that in either. And we're paying all this rent for nothing.
This the house I live in. Now this is the key to my door. Can you dig it? Skeleton key. Okay. And I told the landlord that I wasn't going to pay any rent until he put a lock on my door, and he told me that I had to get out of the apartment. He gave me a month's notice to get out.
You think does that happen to other people too?
That's happened everywhere. My mother lives in this house where there's rats down the cellar, and we told the landlord about it. And they were supposed to have sent an exterminator there, which never showed up, so we went up City Hall and to the Board of Health, and the Board of Health, gave us a complete runaround. Well, you talk to John, and John will send you to Joe, and Joe sends you to Dave, and Dave sends you so on, and nothing was ever accomplished. That's going on all over.
They tell you to go to some kind of board that you complain about these things. You go to the board and they say, well, we'll talk to your landlord. They talk to him, and sometimes they take him to court. He goes to court and they say, well, we'll give you 30 days to get this thing straightened up, or 90 days. Then after 90 days, he goes back and he cops a good plea with him. And he says, well, I haven't had time with things like this, so he says, well, I'll give you another extension. And this extension go on for years, and the thing will still never get done, because he got the court on his side too. Keep giving him these extensions.
Why do you think the court's on his side? Why do you say that?
Well, because he's considered part of the ruling class circle, and and we're second class citizens. We're not entitled to have things that middle class people have, and upper class people. So.
Well, let me ask you one thing. Is the problem, part of the problem here, or a lot of the problem here, is it white people, or is it those people who are in control of New Bedford?
It's not white people, like the white people, they gotta understand, they got the same problems we have, like we're not against the poor people or, the middle class, because, the middle class, like, they got more problems than we have, really, It's against people that control the city, like they part of the government and all that other job. Like, we're not against them. It's just a pig, the man that's in control. And everybody got to realize that, we're all in the same situation. We just got to turn it over. It ain't never worked right. We got to get something that's going to work right, that's all.
Well, we were talking earlier, and we talked about, the violent nature of the people who've been attacking here, and the need for a certain type of violence or, defense, whatever you want to call it, to meet that. Now, you've tried things, like you said, going to court about your landlord, or trying to get somebody to come out and inspect your house. Do you think that same type of violence is going to be necessary to bring about other types of changes?
That's just what we need here, violence. I'm not gonna stand around here and bullshit like all the rest of the people. You gotta go out there and do it, and that's just what I'm gonna do. Violence.
Yeah, man, you cannot, anybody who comes to know that you cannot be non-violent in a violent world, man. That's the point that Martin Luther King was trying to get across, man. That's why he got croaked, man, you know what I mean? Because, like, he was trying to be non-violent with violent people, and there's no way you can do it. Yeah, I'm down with that, you know what I mean? And he died because he was waking up brothers and pulling everybody's coat, so, like, they assassinated him, man, you know what I mean?
Well, let me ask some more things just about, the kind of situations that, like say, bring bring people to that point, to that realization. Now, in your case, you've been out of school for how long?
3 years.
How many years?
3.
And why'd you leave school?
They didn't teach me nothing in school at all.
So you went to work?
Huh? Yeah.
Where'd you work?
I worked on the youth corps. They didn't have nothing there for me anyway. So I left there. I ain't working now.
So what'd you do between the time you left the youth corps and now?
Walk the streets.
Are you trying to get a job?
Yes, I am.
What happened?
There ain't no jobs at all. There ain't no jobs in New Bedford at all. There ain't no jobs here to help anybody.
So there are no jobs in New Bedford?
No.
Why is it?
Not only in New Bedford.
You can get a job in a fish house, man.
Now, who wants to work in a fish house?
That's what I'm trying to tell you, man.
Who wants to work in a fish house?
Nobody knows.
Were you in CP?
Yeah, I went through. I got my training and everything else.
No,
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, yeah. Well, I just want to find out from this brother what kind of training you got.
I got drywall training.
And were you able to use that when you got out? Did you get placed in another job?
No.
You didn't. Was the program supposed to place you?
Yes. They can place you.
So
5 weeks on the job, right? They get 5 weeks on the job training. After that 5 weeks up, right? You ain't got a job no more. I didn't have no job anyway. I didn't have a job at all. Try to explain something to the white people, right? You try to do something, right? What they do? They start cussing you or some shit like that. That's what I said, fuck it. So I think, fuck it.
So, well, let me ask you this. What kind of future do you see for yourself?
I don't see no future at all, as far as I know. I don't think there's any future. Not for me, anyways.
So what does that mean in terms of your day-to-day existence?
Until I turn around and see something, see there's going to be something doing, getting jobs for everybody, then I'll probably start working, but not until.
You know, what kind of thing do you see in the future for yourselves, and not only individually, but for the rest of the young people, and the rest of the black people out here? What kind of future do you see?
Well, you know, like a future, like if we just go on let things go on the way, you know, they've been going on, you know, like our mothers, our fathers, our grandmothers, and all that shit. But the man just gonna go on ahead and let it go and be the same way, you know. We're all gonna be poor and oppressed. Only future I see is a revolution. You know, like change. Whether it's gonna be violent, non-violent, and reform, or whatever you want to call it. Or I don't give a damn, you know. I'm just ready. And I think everybody is. You know.
Would you agree with him?
I'm good, right? I really don't see no future, no, you know, in the world anyway. Not for the black people anyway.
I think that once everybody starts to see what things are, you know, like people, the younger people now, unlike the older people who, when they were coming up, couldn't see anything beyond what their parents had told them, beyond what they could learn, how they could get along in the street with the white man by just taking the crap and not seeing too much more about it. I feel that now the people are waking up. They're seeing the establishment and the people on top, for fat rats as they are, is seeing what really is going on, and they don't like it, so they're going to change it. And they're going to take any means they have to change it. And one person died here last night, 4 other people, two since this morning, and 3 other people were shot for it. Now, if this is what it's going to take to change it, then there's going to be a change. Because I know I'll stand out here and I'll get shot, and I don't care by who. But there is going to be a change. There got to be. It just can't go on this way. I know 20 years from now, I don't want my kids sitting out here on the same corner talking to somebody with a microphone, asking him the same questions that I'm being asked. I got a pregnant wife who's scared to death because I'm out here, but she knows that I got to be out here in order for my child and for her in the future to have better than what her mother and my father and her father and my mother had.
Okay, well, I think we end with that, because that's what it's about. Okay.
sun belongs to you and should surround.
We hope that the black people of New Bedford have given you some insight into the conditions creating the tension there. But even as this tension eases, the conditions that produce them remain. The government and its media have not attempted to bring these conditions to public attention. Our brothers and sisters in New Bedford, like black people across the country, are fighting poor housing, a lack of jobs, bad education, and police repression. Last week, when this fighting escalated, the press called it a riot. The mayor of New Bedford called it a revolt. We at Say Brother call it a justified rebellion by our people against the racist, exploitive system responsible for our bad conditions.
Yet I see they've taken liberties with your souls and your lives. Don't tell me that you lack concern for all that you must be, 'cause I know you must not be turned, and I know that you can see to seize the time. The time is now. Oh, seize the time to know how. You worry about liberty because you've been denied.